Hello and welcome to Scholesy Talks Impact Wrestling, the Australian Tour Night 2, and I've just literally, maybe 3 or 4 minutes ago, come off watching the second night of the Impact Wrestling Tour. You can get it on Fight TV, alright? It was about 15 quid and the first day was good. But I am going to say this now, and I'm going to say this honestly, straightforwardly. The second night was something different. It was absolutely incredible. Alright? So, guys, get on Fight TV. Get it. It's £15. It's £15 for 5 hours worth of wrestling. 2 pay-per-views, okay, for one. Definitely worth watching. Definitely worth the cash in that sense. Now, I'm going to be dead honest with you. I'm an Impact mark. This is why this is called Scholesy Talks Impact Wrestling. I am going to say I love you to my Instagram people. I love you to my Twitch and YouTube people. One of the greatest things about watching wrestling when it goes on tour is this. You get to learn about new wrestlers, new individuals, new people with fantastic and beautiful talents for what they specifically do. You get to learn about guys like Jude London, Da Silva, Adam Brooks, Robbie Eagles. If you don't know who Robbie Eagles is, alright, he is one of them guys that is beautiful and artistic in the way he wrestles. New Japan Pro Wrestling, check it out, incredible guy. Now, the first match, this is going to be rapid fire, guys. Rapid fire, boom, 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 like Motor City machine guns. The first match was a guy called Adam Brooks. He's known on the sort of like Asian, Australian scene, great wrestler, versus the sniper from the skies, Robbie Eagles. Man's like a 15-year veteran fundamentally when it comes down to it. These were 2 Aussies going for the OPW Championship. And this belt has literally only just been invented. And it was a barn burner of a match, guys. A fucking barn burner of a match. Worth the watch. Worth the watch. If you're not a wrestling fan, it is worth the watch. You will learn about what wrestling is. It starts very, very equal with ability base. Both of them are very similar how they wrestle. It moves very quickly into fast-paced arm drags. And there is a couple of really interesting judo throws as well, which we don't often see unless you're Nick Gage in GCW or Ronda Rousey in WWE. And we see this amazing Robbie Eagles spinning heel kick. And did you know what about that lad? Is he can make nothing into something. And that is brilliant. It was a reverse after reverse. Robbie has this amazing talent to be a high flyer and a submission specialist at the same time. But Adam Brooks is one of them cats, man, and I've watched him a few times over the last 24 hours. He's one of them guys that has the ability to be a super strong, powerful wrestler. He has that Japanese strong style wrestling, and he kept doing that. He got a nice little crossface, a big suplex, an amazing knee to the back of Flipping Eagle's head, and he reversed that as well, and it was great. And Robbie Rogers did this low single leg drop kick that was beautiful and into a double knees. And this match was extremely 50-50 through the whole entire thing. 50-50. Could have been anybody's. But a big DDT won it for Brooks, man, when it came down to it. Alright. And he became the first champion with a Swanee with a Swanton bomb. And it was a movement that went from a big DDT, Eagles reversed it, then Brooks hit this amazing Swanton bomb. Great match. First OPW champion. Okay, well done Brooks, mate. Brilliant match. Now, the next match was a extremely good tag team match with like two tag teams that I've heard of. I've seen bits and bobs of them on YouTube and so, okay, but I wasn't particularly majorly familiar with. Alright, the Natural Classes versus a team called the Versinets, and I hope I got that right. Now, the Versinets, I think I've got that name wrong, but if I've got it wrong, I've got it wrong. It is what it is. Okay, but they went in there fast and quick. They were doing amazing amounts of wrist locks, okay, and holding these two big lads off, and that was the best way to go. You see two big guys, you go in there fast, boom, 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 and you try your best to get them down as quick as possible, get the 1, 2, 3, but that did not quite work for them. Alright, I saw the logic. The logic would have worked, okay, but it didn't work for them, okay. The Natural Classics, fundamentally, they are a sister group of the Bullet Club, one of the most famous wrestling stables, okay. And what ended up happening was the bigger guys, the more powerful guys, took the match. Even though with the Versinets with London's high speed ability, very similar feel to the Motor City Machine Guns, okay, they had all of that concept. Didn't quite work out for them. The match ended with a big net breaker win by the Natural Classics. Great little tag team match, worth the watch, fairly exciting and stuff like that. But then we move into our third match, and this is the match that myself and my wee lad John, and John is a wrestling fan. I mean, he watches AEW, he watches WWE, he watches Impact Wrestling, he watches Major League Wrestling, he watches NWA Wrestling, he watches absolutely everything with me, and he is one of them guys that is generally excited about everything wrestling. Hello Emma, hello Josh, okay, and he's generally excited about anything to do with wrestling. And this match was a brilliant one for us because, as we all know, I'm a massive Moose fan. Moose is re-signed with Impact Wrestling. And I'm also a massive, okay, Joe Hendry fan. I believe in Joe Hendry. If you know, you know. Okay. He's the digital media champion. And it's great. Hendry comes in and he does his typical thing. He grabs the mic. He does the typical thing of his gimmick is kind of like a cult sort of like leader, sort of like inspirational speaker, and he comes in and he talks about the local zoo and how amazing it is and how he loves donkeys and dingoes and wombats, and then he moves into his most favourite animal is a dancing moose, and that's in relation to the wrestler Moose, and he's sort of taking the mick out of him about that. And the interesting thing is, Hendry is known for his power. He's a big lad. He's a big, beautiful Scottish lad. All right. But Moose is a former, I believe. I believe he was one of the blockers in American football. I'm not sure what that means, but that's what he was. He was an NFL player originally. And it was power versus power. And Hendry couldn't do his normal sort of tactics of going in there hard and taking them down and hurting them quickly. He kind of lost that element. It was like the big boy club. I'm strong, you're strong, boom, boom, boom. We can't move each other, blah, 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 blah. You get the point. And it ended up being a test of strength. Hendry up against Moose Nation, the god of wrestling. And that was the thing. It was a struggle for Hendry to get himself back into the place because Moose is kind of unmovable in that element. Henry tried to take Moose down. Moose reversed it into a choke slam. Moose ended up punching him. Hendry got to a point where he started doing the Hulk. He was hulking up. He was going, oh, hit me. You know, it's like sort of like when men get together, big men get together. They're like, slap me. And it was like, hit me. And he was hulking up, beasting up like this, and he goes in and he hits a few European uppercuts, all right, into a beautiful cutter, all right, and then he starts going, we will rock you, and he gets the crowd going. That's his thing. He's getting the crowd going. He's getting the momentum moving. But Moose does his business and nothing really comes out of that. But it was a great moment. It was a great moment. Henry does this absolutely gorgeous, I think it's called a pump kick into a power bomb, and that was just, it was marvellous to watch. It was an absolute marvellous element to watch. And after that, it ended up being sort of like a pin fest where they're rolling around the ring, pinning each other for a little while. We see a big suplex by Hendry, and then Moose, it looks like he's going to win the match actually at one point. He rolls up Hendry, pulls his pants back, but that's illegal. The ref sees it, so the ref's going to call something. So what does Hendry do? He uses his noodle, he uses his brain, and he rolls up Moose. 1, 2, 3, still a digital champion. Great match. Great match. It was a fast moving match. It was a very quick match. It was just a fun thing to watch, in all fairness. And do you remember what I was saying at the beginning? With these sort of tours and stuff like that, we learn about new wrestlers. We learn about wrestlers that sort of like are up and coming and stuff like that from other countries. And this match was Eddie Edwards versus, I think it's Lex. He won a match yesterday. Eddie Edwards lost against Hendry yesterday. And this match kind of was a nothing match to me. I'm not going to lie. We had 3 matches that was so good, so high quality. And from the tag match, great tag match, to sort of Joe versus Moose, and Edwards versus Eagles versus Brooke. This match was okay. All right, it was kind of a nothing match in a lot of ways, and it kind of sort of like filled a gap that was needed to be filled at this particular point. All right, Edwards came in, everybody was still chanting "You suck, you suck, you suck," and that came from Hendry yesterday, and fundamentally, Slex did absolutely brilliant through the whole entire match. It was very stop and start. I personally think I would have given the match to Slex in that sense, but it was an okay match. It was an okay match. That's all you're gonna get. It finished with a power bomb and a Boston knee party. Edwards won. It was an okay match. It was a good feel match. We started off with 3 awesome matches, and then it was just an okay match. But Edwards is a legend. Edwards is classy in how he wrestles. It was super exciting in bits, but just okay in other bits. So yeah, it's a match. But it happens. You can't have barn burners every single match. That's the thing. Now, this is the match I was particularly looking forward to. I'm going to promote this again and again and again. And on my YouTube channel, I have a podcast with my boy Josh. Not that Josh, a different Josh. That's Cod Josh. I'm talking about Hugger Josh. Hugger Josh is a guy that is... he's a wrestling fan, and we do a podcast about women's wrestling. Super fun. It's on the YouTube. Let Me Talk to You, the network. Me and Josh do a lot of stuff on that. And this match would normally be reviewed on Don't Call Me a Diva, but there isn't an episode this week, so I'm going to do it today. And this was Killer Blooming Kelly versus Stephanie DeLanda. Stephanie walks in, the crowd hate her, and that's brilliant because she's just taking the piss out of where she lives. She's being aggressive how she lives. She's saying to people that where she lives is awful. All right, where this particular place is awful, and she is making it very clear that she is not a loser because she lost yesterday against Deonna Purrazzo. Okay, and the funny thing about this whole entire match, it was so good. It was so good. Stephanie DeLanda was never going to go to Australia and beat Purrazzo. It was never going to happen. Purrazzo was always going to win that fight. Because Purrazzo is the number 1 ranked wrestler in the world. DeLanda is definitely, currently for me personally, top 10. All right, Kelly's top 10 as well. But this match was all about strength and power. This match was all about DeLanda overpowering everything Kelly did. And this match was a well-deserved win by Stephanie DeLanda. That is all you're going to get from me with this one. Because I'm a DeLanda fan. All right, she is not a loser. She is always been ready. Okay, and she, at some point, if she stays in Impact Wrestling, will be an Impact Wrestling champion. I promise you. Stephanie DeLanda is one of the world's best. I said this yesterday. Me and Josh last week did a podcast where we talked about how do you solve a problem like Stephanie DeLanda. Her beating Killer Kelly solved that problem. Because Killer Kelly and people like Masha Slamovich are the biggest and most upcoming people in the current business in women's wrestling. They are animals. Alright? And Stephanie DeLanda walked in there and railroaded her in every element. Big boots, clotheslines, boom, boom, boom. Don't get me wrong, Killer Kelly had moments, but it wasn't her time to have the moments. It was all DeLanda's time to have their moments. Buzzed. So happy she got that. So happy she got that win. Okay, alright. Killer Kelly, alright. Don't worry about her, mate. She'll come back. She'll do whatever she has to do. I can see her being tag team champion with Masha Slamovich eventually, or something along the lines of that. But that was an A-class match. An A-class women's match, okay, in Australia, where we saw Stephanie DeLanda, a person that was taking the Michael out of the Pacific area. She was in Australia, but she's Australian, doing her business. And do you know what? Australians do well in pro wrestling. They just do. Indy Hartwell, man. Rhea Ripley, okay, alright, you had the Iconics, the Inspiration, whatever you want to call them, okay, alright, so this is what I'm saying. DeLanda, this match was just a railroad, okay. Killer Kelly couldn't get a clutch, alright, she couldn't get any of the Pacific moveset she normally places or puts in that concept, but brilliant match. And we now move on to the match me and John wanted to see the most. Me and John love this guy more than anything else. Brian Myers, very underrated wrestler. I've got legit loads of his figures. Hope that stands up now. Okay. One of our favourite wrestlers. We love one of our favourite wrestlers for many reasons. He is a charming bloke, actually, alright, when it comes down to it. He's a toy collector. I didn't like him as Kurt Hawkins, but I loved him when he came to Impact and he won the tag team titles with Cameron Grimes. I've said this a million times to people that listen to this, but it was good. So, if it means anything, if you're a wrestling fan, you'll get this. If you're not a wrestling fan, you won't get this wrestling reference, but or a major pod fan. He came in his major buddies gear, so that white gear for the new action figures that he's putting out, and it was a great start by Myers. Myers is a clever wrestler. He knows how to play the game. He's a veteran, so he got in the ring. He rolled out straight away, played some mind games. Frankie Kazarian and him got back in the ring together, and what happened after that? Frankie Kazarian played some mind games, and this was the thing. Frankie Kazarian rolled out, was taking the piss out of Myers, going, no, I can do that as well, son. All right. And this is the thing. Frankie Kazarian is a legit legend at the same time as Myers. So Frankie kept this pace through the whole entire match, and he sped it up and slowed it down. That is proof of how good of a veteran wrestler you are. We saw great elements such as Frankie Kazarian walking round the ring, smashing Myers' head off each one of the turnbuckles. He was ramping up the crowd, I think, for what was coming next, the Motor City Machine Guns versus ABC, and after that Shaw versus Dion Perazzo. And he kept ramping this up and up and up and up. And then when it was Myers' turn to do the same, Myers did some really similar stuff, hitting him with some great slaps, throwing him a sleeper through the ropes. And so Myers did a great DDT. Myers had a nice little bit of control of that match, and we saw a great Frankie power slam with a big leg. Myers couldn't quite get the win, even though he was controlling that match a hell of a lot. Through the last quarter of it, he was controlling it a hell of a lot, and it felt like the match before when it was Moose Myers versus the ABC, that he couldn't quite get there. Personally, I would give him the title, the championship, the heavyweight championship belt. But the match ended with a chicken win, and Frankie wins that fight. A great submission move at the end of the day. But it was a highly excitable match. A highly excitable match. All right. And myself and John enjoyed it loads. Absolutely loads. Super cool, super fun. Super cool, super fun. And we move on to our last two matches. And I'm speeding through this for a reason. All right, a few reasons, okay? I've got to go to work soon. And I wanted to tell everybody this information because this actually excited me to hell. And number two, I want to particularly concentrate on the last match. So this match, sorry, this is a fly flipping whacking around my head. So this match, Motor City Machine Guns versus the ABC. I'm not going to talk about this match that much actually, because I'm not going to lie, I didn't really enjoy it. I thought it was a typical Motor City Machine Guns match. High tempo, high paced. We saw many mistakes by Sabian and Shelley, and they're the current X Division champion and current heavy world champion. And I think the mistakes were purpose. I think it's the element of it's the ending of their tag careers, one of the greatest tag teams in world history. So there was a bit of storytelling to it, I think. And it was kind of a passing of the torch to the ABC. The ABC, 1, 2, 3, Too Sweet, Bullet Club boys, Ace Austin and Chris Bay. And when it came down to it, it was the Art Finesse and the Fold that beat the Guns. And the bit that was very interesting, that sort of like put my thought process about the whole entire thing together more than anything else, was the handshakes at the end. Okay, and the hugs and the respect and the love and the respect and the respect and the love, and so because that kind of passed the torch on. And the Motor City Machine Guns, I thought they're still about. They're not going anywhere because one's the X Division champion and the heavyweight champion. But I think their careers as tag team wrestling is kind of going to be put to the side, which I've got no issue for, got no problem about, because they have served Impact and World Wrestling brilliantly. And currently they hold, in my perspective, the two biggest belts in professional wrestling, being the Impact TNA World Championship and the X Division World title. But good on the ABC, because Bay and Ace Austin are two young guns. They're two guys that are changing the industry from a different element, and they are gold. They are gold, and with them joining the Bullet Club, I think that's done more for their career, because you'll see them more in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and in the future, I think you can probably see them connecting with people like Jay White and Juice Robinson over in AEW. So good on them winning it. But this last match is the one I'm excited for, the one that I watched like this. Because why did I watch it like this? Why did I watch it like this? So Giselle Shaw, okay, is one of my favourite women wrestlers, along with people like Trinity, along with Deonna Purrazzo, Jordan Grace, and so. And Giselle Shaw is one of them very, 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 very interesting wrestlers, okay, because she kind of comes across just purely as a gimmick, in the sense of being sort of like a lass that's rich, and sort of like a lass that's all about glamour and poshness and so. But she has this great ability in the ring to learn who she is wrestling, to learn who she wants to fight. And we saw that a few weeks ago when she's faced other people in the weekly show. And yesterday she had a match where I was honestly gobsmacked. She's no more of a striker. She's no more to be sort of like edging on the element of cheating. But she came in to this first night match aggressive and like some crazed technical wrestler. Now, for me, the two greatest female technical wrestlers currently in the wrestling industry are Natalya Neff-Hart over in WWE and Deonna Purrazzo. So if you're going to come in there and try to challenge with a technical based wrestling towards one of the top two, in my perspective, technical based wrestlers, women anyway, in the wrestling industry, ooh, that is good, sure. I like that attitude. You have the ability to learn, okay, to take on people like Purrazzo. And Purrazzo, I will tell you this honestly, and I'll tell you this now, she is number one for me, best in the world. Best in the world, currently in wrestling. So Shaw hits them mind games very early, same as Brian Myers and Frankie Kazarian did a few matches back with rolling out of the ring. And she rolled out of that ring for a good reason. To mess with Deonna's head. And Deonna isn't that wrestler you can mess with that easily. She's solid. She is solid as pie. We pushed in to Shaw showing how technical she has taught herself and learned. We saw that with her hitting 5 or 6 wrist locks in a row, moving around, controlling the body. We saw Shaw take a very early advantage. She did a headlock takedown, but then got converted by Deonna into a head scissors. And then what Shaw did was she did that, that weird thing when wrestlers put themselves into a headstand, okay, and get out of a move. And I think there was a bit of respect there, but Deonna had her, all right. But the problem is, and this is what happens when you start getting cocky. Shaw was very cocky at this point. Very cocky at this point. Don't get me wrong, she's got top groundwork now. She's developed her groundwork, but Purrazzo is the beast. So Purrazzo went straight in there and went into that old school kind of British mentality of wrestling, doing joint manipulation. Joint manipulation, bending them fingers back like William Regal did, or how Bryan Danielson sometimes works, or Zack Sabre Jr., how he works in that joint manipulation concept. And we saw how she slowed down the match. Purrazzo was in full control at this point. So Shaw had to head back to her bread and butter. And now that was the intelligent thing to do. You've gone to the mat, okay? You've tried to match up your mat ability-based wrestling, and it hasn't quite got there, all right? Hasn't quite get there. Deonna was there just at every single moment. So what she does is she goes back to her bread and butter. She walks away from the mat, okay, for a minute, and she starts hitting some mad-ass strikes, and she's powerful, mate. She is powerful. Her strikes are beast mode powerful. But then it's taken back to the mat again. Shaw starts working aggressively on the left arm of Purrazzo. She starts using the ring in all elements. So she kind of gets desperate at this point. She's like, well, fine. I've tried to go to the point of mat wrestling. I've tried to prove myself to you, Deonna, okay, in that sense. But these were clever tactics because Deonna at this point lost total control of the match. And it was weird to see because you don't often see this. Deonna's arm was clearly hurt at this point. And Deonna tried to do the armbar 3 or 4 times, failing every single time because of how much her arm hurted. So then we saw Deonna fighting with one arm, smacking about some punches with one arm, and it generally looked for a short while like Shaw was going to take the Knockouts Championship of Purrazzo. And you know what? We don't often feel like that with Purrazzo, because even when she's fighting the greats of Taylor Wilde and people like Flippy and Jordan Grace and so on, she's still in full control of what she's doing. But Shaw managed to get a step in front. And we saw another armbar fail. And we saw Shaw pin a few times at this point as well. But yeah, Deonna ended up winning with I can never say it. Is it a Venus or Venus or something along the lines, sort of submission. And Deonna won. But this match was very good. For me, this match is match of 2023. All right. So when this gets on YouTube or something like that, watch it because it's very, very good. It's very, very technical based. It's the stuff that Doug Williams, one of the kings of British wrestling and joint manipulation and technical based wrestling, would love. And actually guys like Roddy Piper would have loved this as well, because of the sort of like, they're kind of edging on the bad sort of like line of stuff as well. This is top quality, top notch women's wrestling. And my other podcast, as I said a minute ago, Don't Call Me a Diva, we talk about this all the time, where the men are great, but the women are at the same level now. And even better in some circumstances. Purrazzo is a modern day Bryan Danielson. Okay? The best, the number one in the world in my perspective. Better than Toni Storm. Better than Jamie Hayter. Better than Rhea Ripley. Alright? Better than Charlotte Flair. Darn, and I said it. I said it, better than Charlotte Flair as a champion and absolutely everything. But sure, was that close? Alright? But a champion's heart is a champion's heart. And that's what Purrazzo has. Best female technical wrestler in the business. Second, Natalya Nefer. But this Impact Wrestling second night, via probably one match, every match was high quality, brilliant. The Eddie Edwards match was versus Les, or whatever his name is, was okay. It was an okay match. It wasn't a bad match. I could watch it again, all right? But every other match was a high-quality match. So where this match, for me, was a solid 5-star, Purrazzo versus Shaw, I want to give some shout-outs to some other matches. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Moose and Myers and Joe Hendry made the tour for me, personally. Joe Hendry, the concept of entertainment and the big strong boy sort of attitude was absolutely brilliant. Moose and Myers tag match against ABC. For me, 90% of that match, they were the better tag team. Bryce versus Frankie Kazarian. Brian Myers did what he did best and what he always does best. Be a great heel. So, do you know what, guys? I've spent 3 days reviewing Impact Wrestling events, and this is what I'm about. I'm an Impact Wrestling fan. I was raised on WCW. Okay, all right. That was my wrestling sort of like childhood background. I was that guy that sort of like but I waited till Cartoon Network finished. All right, just after whatever Johnny Bravo or whatever finished, and sort of like, and then Nitro was on. We were a week out, man, but that is what it is. But when WCW went, it was a kind of a lost sort of like cause for me in wrestling, because yes, I still tuned in to watch WWE or WWF, but there was nothing for me till TNA Impact came around, and I have watched every single episode, I've watched every single pay-per-view, and I have a crazy passion for this product. And this product, as I keep saying to everybody, all right, had the OG period, the golden period, the dark period, the rebuilding period, and now we are on a new period where we are growing high. And this match versus Shaw versus Purrazzo was the proof of the pudding with that, people. So if you haven't got Impact Plus or YouTube Plus, or you're not watching it on DAZN, or you're not watching it on Sky, you're missing out, mate. You're literally missing out. Slammiversary's around the corner. For me as an Impact fan, that is my WrestleMania. But listen to me, guys. That's me ranting. This event, these 2 days, was a solid 4.5. Purrazzo versus Shaw was the best match. The highlighted wrestlers for me was Moose, Myers, and Joe Hendry. Okay? And I'm looking forward to this Thursday's Impact Wrestling. I want to thank everybody that listens, because it means something big to me, alright? Because you're listening to me rant about pro wrestling. But I love yous. Till next time, peace out.